the cool thing about pickleball is you can show up at a court and you have no idea who any of these people are. You don't know what they do for a living. You don't know what they're good at in life. You don't know if they're rich or poor. And you only identify them as like who they are as a player.
It's a different way to connect, especially in business. Working out or going to sauna or just speaking business, whether it's on a basketball court or a golf course. It breaks the ice in a way where I don't think you can do like in a boardroom or something like that.
Right, because your roles have already been defined when you're in the business world, right?
Yeah.
Once you're in a boardroom, everybody's like, okay, that's the assistant, and this is the marketing manager, and this is the CEO, and so those roles have already been defined. On the court, it's all about like what you bring to the game.
I think business and sports go hand in hand. Not like I'm a pro athlete, but I've gotten companies that sponsor a lot of tournaments. But even on the pro level, the sponsors don't want to talk to the losers.
Yeah.
They want, the NBA champions get invited to the White House. This is like all the top business people want to identify themselves with the top athletes.
Right.
Who won the gold medals, and you want to be associated with those guys.
Yeah.
Right? It's that. So
it's funny that way, right?
But we're gonna post a photo later with Hogan because I asked him to play in a 3-on-3 tournament with him, and if you don't know me by now, I'm constantly stacking the team with talent.
Well, that's why you brought me on.
That's another reason why, Nick.
You're trying to bring in the ringer.
I mean, if you're gonna go and do something, you might as well surround yourself with the top talent of the people that you know in your Rolodex.
Right.
Who even says Rolodex nowadays? But
the digital Rolodex.
The digital Rolodex.
So how did you kind of take these connections that you made during these sporting events and tournaments and all those sorts of things and sort of leverage those in some ways, right, to new jobs and new opportunities for yourself? Because coming from Goodwill in 2007, great experience, great place to learn what it means to be a part of a nonprofit, to give back, but it's far from where you are today. I mean, we're sitting in your office right now, right? And we're in the Ilikai hotel. And
it's funny how everything meets, right? I mean, everything works out. Everything, some things run in full circles. Our friendship,
right.
We had like unfinished business from back then because we started producing content, and then the NBA called you, and then COVID happened, and I went and ran the business. Like I never even thought I would run the business for 10 years.
Yep.
It was a good job. You just trying to figure it out.
And what was your business?
NK Management. We did a condo site management on Oahu for the last decade.
It's a long time.
And then we'll talk about that in my interviews with Lynn Germain because I just successfully sold the business to her. And again, this part of this podcast is us interviewing other other business owners. Nick and I would dive deep into the nitty gritty, the days where you don't want to go to work, the hard days that people don't talk about, the headaches of staffing, and but the joys and the triumphs of when marketing campaigns actually hit their mark, right? That's super fun. But yeah, just on all my resumes, I put sports related stuff and it's putting tennis and sports on my resumes. It got me hired like 3 different places. When I was in Houston, my real estate broker at that time, he loved tennis, so he hired me because I put tennis on my resume. We had a good relationship playing tennis. When I moved back to Hawaii, Richard Emery, who ran Hawaii First, he was a paddle tennis player, and I'd won one of the tournaments of the Pacific Club. And I mean, it got me an interview, so I was like one of his senior managers for a while. So sports has always allowed me to get in there, but to have like a conversation with people. But to answer your question, you know me a long time. I've been super competitive. So I just found ways to turn sports into business, Yeah. There's just, what would Kobe Bryant do? He's going to put a plan together and attack it.
It's a great networking tool, for sure.
Indeed, man.
And now I feel like with the advent of pickleball, I don't know how you feel about pickleball, but I know your ankle's kind of messed up right now. But I feel like it's opened up, because it used to be like if you couldn't golf or you couldn't play basketball or you couldn't do whatever the sport that the person that you wanted to network with was into, you were kind of out of luck, right? You don't want to show up and embarrass yourself if they really liked basketball. Some CEO you knew really liked basketball. You wanted to network with them. You show up, you can't ball, right?
Yeah. Have you played pickle?
I have. I've played like maybe 7 times in my life.
Yeah.
But my point is, anybody can play, right? You can show up, and if somebody's really good, they're gonna smoke you. But you can get on the court.
Yeah.
You can return a couple volleys, like, right?
Yeah. The thing about pickleball, and like, if you guys are tennis players that played pickle, leave a comment, because I used to hate pickleball. I hated it because pickleball players would take up all the courts.
Yeah.
But then I played a few times and I sucked, because it's like you got to really get like the feel. It's not like tennis.
Sure.
But then like tennis players have a full advantage over pickleball players, because we can volley. Especially if you're like 3-5, 4-0 and above in tennis, you can beat most beginner pickleball players pretty easily, because they don't really have the footwork,
Wait, is that like tennis ranking?
Yeah, like USTA. Like if you're playing like a beginner level, it's like a 2-5, 3-0. The 3-5, 4-0 guys are like the competitive, like rec guys, and then I would say 4-5, 5 above are like the college guys in open. Yeah, so I think pickle is kind of rated the same way, But if you're a decent tennis player, pickle is easy.
Really?
And then you don't really have to move around that much. So even though my ankle's busted up, I got a challenge with some of my buddies in California. We're gonna play.
Really?
Long Fu and Peter. That match is on when I see you guys next.
There's a Wednesday night game.
Because me and Fu, we have this 20-year rivalry. Because me and him would beat Long and Peter in doubles tennis. We smoke them, and we still smoke them now. Put it out there. So we put the issue on pickleball, so they better be getting ready. Anyways, yeah, but pickle's great. We should get on the court.
Nice.
In fact, we're gonna do some socials soon, and you remember Michael Gill? He started the managers forum with me in Myrma. He and I won the resident managers tournament. So
really?
There was like a pickleball tournament for resident managers. He
must be really good. Because I know it's not you. You're always just recruiting the guy. You recruit the ringer.
Where did the thing champions?
I know you did. You just found out he was good, and then you recruited him as a ringer. So who was at the door?
That was Raymond's painting.
You're always busy, so
they're gonna repaint the whole hotel this summer.
Oh wow!
So
the exterior.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember somebody told me, some aircraft mechanic told me a few years ago, something I never thought about when it comes to painting, and that is the weight of paint, and how much more it costs airlines to fly in fuel because they're painted. So there was some airline that tried to go without painting the airline and just made it this plain metal, and nobody would fly because they thought there's something wrong with the plane.
Oh.
So nobody would buy tickets.
Are you serious?
But it actually saved them a ton of money because they weren't spending money to...
I wonder if they put a coating on it. They had to put a coating on it. Some sort of coating.
Some kind of protective coating.
Yeah, some sort of anti-rust coating.
But still not the weight of... Think how many gallons of paint you have to use to paint an entire...
Well, that's one of the things with paint, and we'll get some contractors in here to talk about paint and intricacies of it. But a lot of times these buildings, they'll just get painted over and over and over, and you get 4, 5, 6, 7 coats on. So after a while, you got to like peel it off. Oh,
that's a whole other.
Because it's like then the weight of that paint also is kind of that gets heavy too. But if it doesn't have good, if it's not, you could the whole thing could just fall off if the underlying surface is really good. I've seen that happen too. So
really?
Sometimes you can't just paint it. You got to scrape it all down and prep it properly. Depending on the, So
wow. What do you think about? Hold on, I'm just adjusting my little mic stand here.
But I want to hear about you and like what got you into running a business, being an entrepreneur,
for me, I think I've learned to enjoy business and entrepreneurship over the years, but that wasn't a primary concern or focus of mine. When I first got into, I run a video production company, right? That has now kind of branched out into marketing, digital marketing as well. But for me, it's like, I went to film school. I consider myself an artist. I'm a filmmaker. I haven't gotten to make a feature yet. I haven't gotten to do those things. I've been busy trying to support my family, but I'm inching closer to it. And for me, the entrepreneurship and the business ownership was more just an excuse to be able to do what I wanted to do every day, create content that I thought was interesting and valuable for businesses and organizations, right? And as I did that, I realized that, to be fair to the businesses that were paying me money for great content, it wasn't enough for them to just like the content. I needed them to understand how to use it to get some sort of an ROI.
How it's applicable.
Yeah. And beyond just like, this is great messaging, this is great branding, which it is, but I needed them also to understand that there's an ROI associated with this if we plan it the right way. If we sit down and we talk about it and we understand what your message is, who your targets are, and how do we craft messaging and branding that's tailored for your customer, not just random, beautiful pictures. So that's where the kind of the entrepreneurship and learning about business came in. And I feel like when you create video content, you're creating content for so many different types of industries that you end up learning a little bit about a massive variety of different industries, right?
That's the same way I was when I was doing websites. You learn about that law firm or whatever,
right?
Whatever company you're helping, right?
Right.
Because they're trying to get a message out.
Exactly. You have to understand their message. In some ways, you basically are white labeling for them, right? Because you're working for them, and if you don't understand their message, like I said, it's not enough to just make pretty pictures. Oh, everybody looks good, but what's the message?
How long have you been in business now?
So I started making videos on the side part-time, 2009 or so? A couple years after we met. I mean, I was shooting little things like Girl Fest, but getting paid by clients here and there. 2009. At the time, I was still working on, I think I was on Hawaii Five-0 or Soul Surfer at the time in the accounting department. So I was learning about budgeting and money and all that stuff. And then it wasn't until 2017 that I just went out fully on my own and made videos as Bold Blue Media full time.
I think that was one of the things that, I mean, I saw your work and I was impressed already, but when you told me you work for Hawaii Five-0 and Lost, right?
Yeah.
That was like super cool because those had such a big show at the time.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I tell people that, they automatically assume that I was in one of the creative positions, right? Because that's all the people think about. But there's so many positions on those shows where you can get your foot in the door. And like I said, I was in the accounting department, just because that's how I could get a job after film school, right? And so that's part
of the hustle is getting. If you want to get in the industry, go be the go in the mailroom or something and just learn, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly what you did.
Exactly. So I did that, and then I kind of got pigeonholed as like an accounting assistant, and I was like, all right, well, I don't want to do that forever. I did some little camera assistant gigs on the side on small independent.
So you went to school for film, but then you did the accounting when you're on the set.
7 months after I graduated.
But that allows you to know the back office a little bit.
Yeah, no, I got to listen to a lot of conversations between the head production accountant and producers.
That's a paid internship, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I tried to listen to as much of those conversations as I could and glean as much as I could from them, which was helpful, but I still would say there's no substitute for experience and actually creating your own stuff.
Dude, this is exactly what Gary Vaynerchuk talks about.
Yeah.
About just young kids that want experience. Even if you don't love or that's not your final destination, get the job so you can learn other things. Right?
Nothing's final, right? That's a good.
You gotta go. You gotta. He calls it groveling through shit, but you gotta eat shit. You gotta go and just pay your dues for a while to just be in the trenches. You got to know what it's like, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to be willing to do that. Like a lot of people aren't willing to do what they don't want to do.
Yes.
To get to the next step.
Yeah.
They wonder why they can't get to the next step.
For sure. I think that you have to be willing to hustle in that way. And then you have to be willing to know when it's time to walk away and move on to the next thing, right? Because you don't want to stay too long either.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel like you're stuck somewhere.
When you were kind of telling me about when you first started and then where you're at now, the thing that resonated with me the most is you're about to paint your largest masterpiece. That's
Tell me more about my largest masterpiece.
Because I see these visions of Nick Pareca. This is still, even though you did all this work,
Yeah.
it's still a blank canvas for you to paint your final masterpiece.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes we all struggle, or at least I do, with feeling like getting up in years, and I'm in my early 40s now, and it feels like, man, I gotta move faster toward my goal, which is telling stories, making that feature, making more short films before I get to that feature, and but it's not too late. It's all just been purposeful leading up to this moment so that I can start doing the thing that I want to do. That's the way I feel,
I mean, we've been having this conversation for a long time. That's why when 2025 hit, I was like, we gotta make our move.
Yeah.
This finally doing it. And it's probably the reasons why we didn't do it before, because it probably wasn't good timing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel the time is right now, and So, which brings my next question. Knowing you for so long.
Oh, I like you that you're taking over this interview now.
Well,
I like it.
it's like I want to know, did you have these aspirations when you were like 12, 14 years old? Were you hustling?
To tell stories or to be an entrepreneur, or both?
Both.
I think I was always a storyteller. I think when I was a kid, I always wanted to befriend and be around people that were doing interesting things, including my peers. And then I actually preferred to hang back and like tell their stories, so to speak, and just kind of like be around people who were doing interesting things rather than be the guy at the forefront who's doing the interesting stuff. So I think about that sometimes. But I didn't start actually, and then I wanted to be a writer from the time I was in like maybe middle school or early high school. And I thought I was going to get a journalism degree and write. So I did a lot of writing, and then at some point I fell into like, I love film, but screenwriting isn't enough for me because I want more control over the end product of the story. So that's how I started wanting to direct.
And with the increase in media watches globally with digital content, I think storytelling and digital media is the next. I mean, it's been there, but it's also increasing. So
yeah, in the industry, I think storytelling has become this crazy buzzword over like the last 10 years. And it's almost this cliche played out term now, where every marketing company, every digital agency, every video production company is like, you know what sets us apart? We're storytellers. It's like, yeah, you and every other person, right? But really what sets you apart is, are you telling the types of stories that your client needs? And are you doing it well? Are you doing what you set out to do? Which is funny because that's kind of the way that I look at movies too. Like people want to look at movies and judge movies like this is a good movie or it's a bad movie. Yeah, bad movies exist and really good movies exist. But a lot of times when I watch a movie now, I'm like, what were they trying to accomplish with this movie? And did they achieve what they set out to accomplish, right? Is this supposed to be a dumb comedy? Congratulations. This is not going to win an Oscar. It's a dumb comedy. It does dumb comedy really well. They had certain budget constraints and it did everything that it set out to do. Yeah. Right? And I feel like you have to look at content that you create for companies the same way. What did they hire me to do? Did I set out to do that and maybe a little bit more? And did it achieve the message for the target audience that they wanted to achieve? That's kind of the way that I look at content.
Well, that's kind of knowing your client too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because if you met all the deliverables, then that's, but some clients want the world.
Yeah.
And that's where you gotta like just adjust your expectations a little bit and just tell them, hey, you want that? Yeah, we can do that, but it's gonna be double the price because you're asking for a lot. A lot of times they don't understand what it takes to put certain stuff out there.
But what about you? You have a very, very interesting origin story. Like, where are you from originally?
How far did we go back? Did we take it back to?
Well, there's a picture behind me.
Did you take it back to the photo?
Right here, which I'll have to snap a picture of later.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'll snap it right now. This picture right here that I'm gonna take a picture of is of Mano Nguyen on the far left.
Far left. Yep.
On the far left, coming from where?
Saigon, the rooftops of the U.S. Embassy under gunfire.
Gunfire. And how old are you?
2.
So you don't remember any of that, right?
No. Just vivid stories of all my family members,
So this is the U.S. being, the U.S. military being evacuated from Saigon along with who?
All of the delegates and diplomats. And
So who was your dad in this situation?
yeah, so my dad was he was teaching the U.S. Marines hand-to-hand combat at the U.S. Embassy, and
So he was a Vietnamese citizen.
He was working for the embassy for Operation Phoenix. So during the fall of Saigon, there was like some special ops that was helping intel. So he was a part of that outfit, translating and doing all kinds of stuff in the field with the government. And then when they were back at the embassy, he taught, martial arts with the Marines. And I'm still in touch with those guys on Facebook a little bit.
Wow, okay.
They knew my dad. Yeah, back in the day. I got to reach out to them again.
Is that still around?
No, he passed before COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you ask him? Like, did he tell you stories? Did you interview him or talk to him before he passed? About
there's actually I'll put a link to this really good interview he did with a PhD student from UT Austin.
Really?
Talking about he has a good perspective on the war.
Wow. Is he telling any of his stories about? Did he go out into the field or was he more just at the embassy?
Yeah. My dad was pretty articulate in like 3 different languages. French, English, and Vietnamese. So he translated for the U.S.
So a lot of the French influence is because they were in Vietnam fighting against the Northern Vietnamese decades before the U.S. was there, right?
Yeah. Because the communists came up about because Ho Chi Minh was fought against the French to chase the French out because there's French colonies that ruled Vietnam for a long time. That's why there's a lot of French influence, the food and culture.
Right.
So after the fall of Saigon, Vietnamese kind of dispersed all over the world. So a lot of people went to France, and then a lot of people went to U.S. So we have family in France too. It's kind of.
What decade did the conflict with the French happen?
I mean, like.
Come on, you should know this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was this like the 50s? Was it after World War II?
It
was right because it had to be communist.
It was like the Indochina War, I guess they called it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was probably around the same time as the Korean War, but I have to look it up.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when that conflict was, but that stuff is all fascinating.
The history majors can leave a comment on exactly the timeline there.
Exactly. That's another thing that I wanted to do when I was interested in journalism as well, is like history. I just find it fascinating.
Dude, when I was at HPU, one of my best business professors, he was a history major. And I was like, but because history majors, they learn so much about technology and even today's technology, right? Mm-hmm. What the history majors are gonna, professors are gonna say a couple of decades from now, and who the inventors are, and who the winners are. They only write stories about the winners.
That's true. Winners write history.
Yeah.
So you just have to read it. So you're 2 years old. You come to America, to the U.S. with your father and your mother.
Like 33 family members. There's like uncles and aunties, cousins.
You come on a ship.
We're on the USS Hancock.
Okay.
We took the helos the Chinooks or whatever, the Apaches,
whatever the helicopters were at that time. Yeah,
because those pilots are just going back and forth, picking people up to the carriers, coming back, dropping them off. They're just shuttling people, right, as long as they could until they ran out of gas, and then when they ran out of gas, they would push the helicopters into the ocean. You remember the stories?
I don't know this that much.
There's there's helicopters at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.
Is that so that the enemy couldn't get a hold of?
Well, like after the helicopters ran out of, they made room for refugees to get on board.
Oh, they pushed them off.
Can you imagine the USS Hancock?
That's crazy.
Filled with Vietnamese and diplomats getting out of.
So they pushed them off of the Hancock. And
then there's some I think one pilot, he was hovering, and then he jumped out, and it would just go into the ocean because it was about to run out of gas. Right, so they would just shuttle people back and forth.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so you get on the Hancock, and then you come all the way to the U.S. You dock and.
No, we went to Philippines.
Okay.
And then we went to Guam.
Right, because they had a military port in the Philippines.
Yeah, so I got my Social Security in Guam. So all the Guamanians have a 586 Social Security. Oh. So I'm down with the Chamorro. 586 socials.
So how long were you in Guam?
Probably a day, and then we went to. I think we came through Hawaii. Probably fill up some gas and get some food or something.
And then off to where?
And then we went to Fort Chaffee.
Where's that?
There's like an army base.
Okay.
And then down to Texas where our sponsors were. So my dad had like tons of sponsors because if refugees had American sponsors, then we could come and reside in their city, and they took care of us, man. Like Texas City, Texas, all the Rotary clubs, some of the churches down there, they got together and housed us and got us on our feet, man. We owe a lot to those families, dude, for real. Yeah. And then the Hayslips and the Dillards, and the Hayslips, their family just came to visit me like 6 months ago.
Okay.
We got to go out with them.
And this is in the Houston area?
Texas City, Texas, down by Galveston.
Oh, down by Galveston. I've been to Galveston.
Yeah, it's like a little beach town. That's when I came to Hawaii, I felt really at home because I was always kind of a beach bum, skate kid, In
Galveston.
From Cal.
So that's where you kind of grew up, in that area?
Yup. That's we're the first Vietnamese refugee family in Texas City, man. Shout out to Texas City.
And then how'd you make it to Hawaii?
Compliments of the U.S. Navy.
Okay.
Yep.
So you went to the military.
Yeah, so it's 21. Joined the military. And never looked back, man. I was in college, just partying, and I had my son when I was 21, and then I was pretty much just partying, man. All my friends were getting serious.
Yeah.
Like they were all at UT or Rice getting degrees, and I didn't know what to do. So the Navy found my way, full speed ahead.
Gave you a little discipline.
A lot of discipline.
You were one of those kids who needed it?
Yeah, I was so rebellious, and like all the stuff, all the SOPs and manuals and the safety manuals and all the stuff we learn while we're inside, as I'm hating it, I use that so much on the outside. Now it's like it's a roadmap to success. Standard
operating procedures.
Yeah,
I was never in the military, but I understand like that, how useful that stuff could be.
Well, I think we're kind of implementing some SOPs with what we're doing now, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to pay big dividends.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of podcasts out there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of content out there, but the more you can lean into just the niche of what you're doing on an everyday basis, then the more it connects with people, right?
Tell me, did you have, you and I have been wanting to do this a long time, but was there more of an urge the more you saw the world trending in this direction too?
Yeah, I think it was both. There was a urge to go, okay, I kind of understand what this podcast space can be and how people are consuming it now. Mm-hmm. There's also a little bit of hesitation, right? Because it's like, if everybody's doing this, then do I just want to add myself to the list of people who are doing it? But I feel like you and I have a unique perspective locally. Neither of us were born and raised here, but we're doing business here. And, my wife is from here. She's Native Hawaiian. And so I still understand that perspective, but we have a unique perspective on things. And I think as an artist who's trying to do business, I want to talk about that. I want to talk to people about that. So far on the podcast,
let's talk it. Let me hear it, man. I want to hear it. Yeah.
But I want to have artists on. I want to have people, and not just artists like painters and filmmakers and musicians. I want to have those people on. But I also want to talk to people like the guy who loves a sport, and so he started a club team for that high school sport. That's a business that he or she is running for something that I consider sport in some ways an art, right? Like, there's no reason why you should make money coaching in Hawaii in a lot of ways, but people are out there doing it, and they're offering a real service to the community. So I want to talk to people like that who take their art and make a business out of it, and make a real living at it, because it's not easy. My wife she went to music school, I went to film school, and we're both making a living. She's teaching music, and I'm making commercials and movies and things like that, and that's not an easy path to take. I feel like there's a lot of value in talking to people about how they did it.
I honestly hope on this platform we can show the world her talent.
Well, we'll have to convince her, because she's reluctant to appear on any media platforms. But Punahou has interviewed her recently a few times, and she's just so.
She's the choir director for.
So she's one of the choir directors in upper elementary.
Is Joanna the other one? Haberman?
Yeah. That's her coworker.
She goes, yeah, we know them well. So
yeah, we know the Habermans.
Got a lot of respect for because the Habermans before she was a Takagi, Joanna Takagi, and her parents are like, her dad's like a mentor of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Shout out to David Takagi. Yeah,
I know David. He's a hobbyist photographer as well.
Look, he took that photo right behind you.
What? Not the Vietnam? Not the
this one right here. The one right
this
behind
one?
you.
You think this one? Oh wait, we gotta shout him out on here. I'm gonna take a
dude.
picture of this now. Watch this.
That's a David Takagi photo.
So
I was my church moderator last year, which is like it's like the president of their nonprofit.
Okay.
And dude, this is kind of what we're talking about here, is like the future and technology, because we had a bookkeeper, and he rest in peace, he passed away, and they didn't know what to do for like a long time. So the succession plan and going from manual to digitization, I think all churches face that, nonprofits or just honestly just regular local businesses or any businesses nowadays still doing a lot of manual type processes with paper. It's such a thing of the past that we've gone beyond. So I mean, we got like I said, with church on QuickBooks Online and just little things like that help streamline and have control of your finances and stuff like that. So
well, we found the same thing with Bolt Blue, my company, with companies that have been around for a while, and how they often hadn't entered the digital space fully, right? They might have a website, but that would be about it. And so actually during COVID, we ended up working with a lot of companies who needed to be modernized from a marketing perspective, from a messaging perspective, really, right? Like, they didn't have any video content that could be consumed. They didn't have any digital media that could be consumed. And during COVID, that was the only way that you could message your consumer, your customer. Nobody was meeting in person. You couldn't do that, right? And so people suddenly in 2020 found themselves unable to communicate with other businesses or their customers or their target markets. And so that became, for a few years, a really good space for us to help those companies kind of digitize their messaging.
I think this is a good conversation to meet with Blanche about this too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
With Murma. But jumping back really quick, when you were talking about just giving a lot of honor and respect to locals and your wife and Hawaiians in general. Like, we're both not from here, but we've been living here for decades.
Yeah.
We're two mainlanders that have been doing business in Hawaii a long time, and ever since I've met you, I've liked you in a lot of ways because you're not one of those mainlanders who's gonna come here and act a fool and
I hope not.
You know what I mean? And like take advantage of Hawaii and just not show the respect.
Right.
And of a lot of the history here, and I think that's huge. And again, I think this, dude, I have a lot of artists that I want to invite on the show. Some musicians, and you're talking about getting people on the show that have created stuff, and from like, did you ever meet Alex Bergano?
No.
He's from Ladani.
Okay.
And he played volleyball for UH. I'm gonna get him on the show because he's also an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Diamond Magic, the window cleaning, but Diamond Magic is sold in City Mill and like all these.
Okay.
But he's a.
You know what I just realized?
He's a co-owner of he's the owner of that. So just those types of athletes, you always.
Well, that
when you see them play other sports, because he was on the team with me and Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
He was So there's we play in that 3-on-3, right? But the reason I'm talking about him because he's an entrepreneur. He started doing a lot of construction with his brother. They have this construction firm, and he also works for this other like development firm. But he started the Hawaii Table Tennis Association.
Oh, really?
He started the nonprofit, and because I have a lot of experience with nonprofits, I gave some idea. He got like. I think he leases a space in Chinatown. They have like 20 tables. He wrote a grant, did some fundraising, so he runs that. But now he's all in a pickleball.
Yeah, I mean.
So, anyways, I got to get him on the show.
We have to.
Pretty awesome guy. Dude.
You have to. I want to hear athletes are
O2O
are those coaches that I'm talking about, where they figure out what.
Alex
to do
Bergano's our next are going to be one of our upcoming guests.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I find those athletes super interesting, just because you invest so much time into this thing, right? Your sport, your passion, your pursuit, and then when it's over, it's over.
Another guy I'm going to get on the show too, I just ran into him the other day, is Joe Miller from Seal Masters of Hawaii. Okay. They do a lot of concrete construction and spalling. Shout out to Joe, but he was a UT University of Texas swimmer. So yeah, man, these freaking athletes that use that competitive drive to do business, that's the essence of O2O, man. Yeah. Like getting in deep and getting these owners on here talking about the grind, how they innovated.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So
no, that's a huge part of what we're trying to showcase, I think.
Yeah.
So what else you want to just talk about, man?
Well, the condo game, that's kind of that opened the doors up for me, and
so how did you originally get into it? Because you started as more of a real estate guy, right? I
was a realtor in Houston. I did a lot of apartment leases in Houston, and I moved back to Hawaii after I missed Hawaii so much, man. My wife and I moved away, and then she worked for the city of Houston in urban planning after she got her master's.
Yeah.
But man, both of us miss Hawaii so much. Where
does your wife do now?
She ended up getting her PhD in urban planning, and she teaches at UH. So she does a lot of like juvenile justice and come in.
On the line is Shannon. She is a realtor that does repairs for units, and she cannot find the valve for the anyway.
Okay.
I can't explain it to her. I can't explain it to him either.
Yeah. Hello, it's Mano.
My one.
Hello, it's Mano.
So okay, all right. Give me a minute, and I'll get. Thanks for taking the call. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. All right. Okay. Bye.
So what up? What up? Just take care of business, guys.
We'll see if what was her name, Shannon? We'll see if Shannon wants to be featured on the podcast on accident.
So
Post approval to appear on the podcast. So you were doing real estate in Houston, and then you worked for a real estate company here, because I remember you hired me to like film a golf tournament.
It was a condo management firm.
And, that was a condo management firm.
Yeah, so I was playing tennis with Keone Gaspar, who used to own Blazing Slaves Atkinson over here.
Okay.
He made some bomb ass food, man.
Yeah.
And he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's a whoop my ass too. And he was just such a cool guy. Shout out to Keone, man. I really owe my whole career to Keone.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't hanging out with him doing jiu-jitsu and playing tennis, he wouldn't have introduced me to his stepdad.
Okay.
Jim Merrill, who was the president of Touchstone, and he just retired.
Okay.
Jim is arguably he's like the Yoda of the industry.
Okay.
And Touchstone wasn't the largest firm here, but they're the most boutique, but I would say most knowledgeable, hands down. Hoi An is the largest, Associate's second largest. I would say Hoi An probably is the third largest. Touchstone is the fourth largest. The Touchstone's managers, pound for pound, were the smartest ones.
Why?
Because they were realtors. They were like credentialed with their CAI designations, like CMCA and PCAMs. They're real estate like Kevin and Jim, both brokers. They both had college degrees. They're educated. They just were really credentialed and well trained.
Interesting. So what sets?
And they didn't cut corners.
That's what my question was going to be. What sets them apart?
Yeah, they didn't cut corners, bro, and they were like well respected in the industry. So when you walk around, you're mentored by these guys, and you go around town, and everyone gives them a certain level of respect. Mm-hmm. That just comes with, how do you get there?
Right.
How do you be that guy? And just following Jim around. Those like those file folders that like people just stuff files in them. They're just super thick, right? Yeah. Like bylaws, declarations, house rules, super thick binders, right? Mm-hmm. He would carry all those with him and lug them in these like their airplane cart. Like he would lug these things to him to the meeting, because no matter what tough question was asked of him by Karens in the audience, right, he could respond. They asked him legal questions. He wasn't an attorney, but they asked him legal. He could respond because he was just well prepared.
So would you pull the stuff out, or
he'd read the bylaws, declarations, like, oh well, it says your white curtains are allowed. Just like a lot of the governing documents will tell you exactly what's allowed and not allowed, but people don't know how to read them. Right. So,
what's your vision for the future? Like, what do you see for yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years,
or the next year? I mean, I'm excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I told you I'm super excited about this. Yeah. To grow this platform, because I've seen a lot of successful YouTubers just doing pranks. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I watch them all, right? But I'm also like, dude, we're like real business owners trying to put real content out there to make it not just trying to get paid off of this, but we want to invite and build a community around what we're doing, because we think it's super interesting. Yeah. People around us are being inspired, and we just want to get creative over the next, me selling my business, that's a legacy in itself, and the people that I've been continuing to mentor, let's capture those stories.
I think there's a lot of businesses out there. I want to tell these stories on our podcast like we talked about, but I also want to talk to business owners and offer them what I bring to the table from a storytelling perspective, creating commercial content, creating everyday authentic content, because it's all about authenticity right now.
Why the need now, though? Like,
why right now?
Talk about the stats, the trends.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that authenticity is where things have been going in the marketing community for the last few years, because people want to see, not that they want to see people struggle, but they want to see people's real lives. People are tired of seeing fake representations of people and businesses online. And I think with the advent of AI and that content, that will have its place. But I do think there'll be even more of a desire for authenticity, to see real people having real conversations about the real struggles in their lives. And I think I can bring a measure of that to help business owners to be more top of mind for their customers, right? Because their customers want to know what vendors can do for them, what these businesses can do for them. But they also want to know that they're working with authentic, real people. I mean, how many times have you seen a customer or a business make a B2B decision in terms of what vendor they're going to work with, half on what the quality of that vendor's work is, and half on the fact that they actually respect the owner or the operator as a person. They trust them as a person. They know that even if they get 5% wrong, they do it 95% right. They know that they can trust that owner or that operator to fix the 5% that they got wrong. That's of huge value.
Yeah.
And I think communicating that trust in marketing and messaging is a huge part of what I can bring to the table.
Yeah, and Nick is amazing at doing these video blogs. So the owners that we're gonna interview in the upcoming episodes, we're gonna have fun with it. It allows the audience to get to know who you are, behind the scenes, and just give a different element other than just the podcast studio. So that's I'm excited because we're finally collaborating again, and to be honest, I want to show the world what you can do
For sure.
and then because I just have to show up and be a part of this.
Well, I want you.
You know what I'm saying?
You're so good at networking and talking to people that we need to capture those interactions on camera and on the mic, because
It's too easy, man. Like honestly, us it's too easy. Just and like we'll drop the episode with Alberto with Brew Bakery on.
Oh yeah,
just stuff like that. Like
we did that years ago.
Yeah. So click here for that video.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's really the essence of what is, and that's just storytelling, man.
Yeah.
It's storytelling in
Authenticity.
a very unique way, and it's just real stories. None of this is made up at all. So, like I said, Nick and I, we mentor a lot of people, and we just want to capture these stories to let them come on and share their successes.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Where are we going to lunch? Brugge?
we're gonna go to 100 Sales. It's
Was that in the Prince?
It's the White Prince. It's a good buffet.
Nice.
So shout out to Christine McGuire. She's a loan officer. If you guys need to do big loans, she's got you.
Nice.
We're gonna. Is that it? We're gonna.
Yeah, we'll see you
wrap?
next time, guys.
Well, before we wrap, what can they expect from you and your social media channels? What are your socials? How can people find you right now?
Yeah, so funny thing about my socials, and this is one thing that Mano and I are gonna try to address, but it's like the car mechanic whose car is always broken, right? I'm gonna fix that in 2025. My social media is gonna be on point. I'm gonna be posting.
But
we're gonna have a lot of Bold Blue Media.
Yeah, look for Bold Blue Media
on Instagram.
His website.
The website.
On YouTube.
BoldBlueMediaHawaii.com. And also on YouTube at the same name. But there's going to be more content, behind the scenes stuff from our commercial and video and storytelling work, in addition to lots of owner to owner content.
Yeah, we got
Podcasts
some
with business owners and artists.
A lot of owners in the condo space and the construction space.
Yeah.
We're gonna reach out to you guys like we already have. So excited about that.
It's going to be good stuff. See you guys on YouTube.
All right. Thanks guys for following. Like, comment, and subscribe, and help this channel grow. We appreciate all you guys.